All right, so I gotta ask my fellow Americans to listen up, and I hope that you will. I hope that you're feeling the same level of frustration and irritation that I'm feeling with our leaders in Congress right now, on both the right and the left side. I want to ask you a question. Do any of you really truly believe that anything that our President Donald Trump has done is at the level of misconduct that has any measure of misconduct that would raise the level of ire or anger or obstruction that the politicians are going after him about? Because I don't see it. And I want to carry that question further to say, how many of you feel like our president should be impeached? Really? And here's my thing. As sovereign citizens of the United States of America, you should feel compelled to hold your leaders, your legislators, who are representing your rights in your state first and foremost when they are addressing their seats in Congress. They should not be doing what they want to do to preserve their power, wealth, and position within the power elite structure in Washington, D.C. and around the globe. And I want you to think about this because I've been thinking really, really hard about this. And I'm just a regular American. I'm a very proud American. And I've never really been very involved in the political spectrum. And I've never really thought too hard about our governing system until the last few years as I've been watching this crazy thing that's going on with these career politicians. And I really, really, really think that you and I really need to think hard about what we're watching happen right now. And I want those of you who voted for Trump to really think about what's happening right now. Because I'm going to throw a theory at you. And I want you to really think hard about this for a little bit. And you may not need to, because if you're seeing it the way I'm seeing it, then you know what's happening. The politicians who are stunned by the fact that an outsider was elected president of the United States are doing whatever they can to bring this man down. They are seeing before their very eyes a man who has stepped into the highest power in the world because people elected him to come into the highest power in the world and disrupt their power structure. And it's scaring them to the point where they are doing whatever they can to stop him from disrupting their unearned power. So the theory I have is that they are making as much noise and they're grasping at whatever straws they can to invent stories of corruption and collusion to bring this man down before he can, what do you call it, drain the swamp. It's been since last July that they've been trying to tie this man to Russia in some kind of collusion thing with our election. And I was watching this thing on TV today while I was in the hospital waiting for my daughter-in-law to get finished with some surgery. And I was stunned by the way that this political guy that was the FBI director was answering questions, and it was just amazing to me. Do you remember what happened with Hillary Clinton and the email thing, and how that just kind of went poof, and how, yes, she was doing these illegal things, and yes, she was divulging secrets through her email, and yes, the whole thing was just amazingly illegal, but not illegal enough to be charged with any kind of crime. And then all of a sudden now we've got this thing that's been going on since July, where there's no evidence really, there's no real hard thing where they're able to tie the president to any kind of obstruction or collusion. Yeah, been some discussions going on, there's been some talk going on, but even Comey himself can't tie anything together. So my thing is this: anybody else who was a direct politician in the inner circle of the political world, in the power elite in Washington, would be able to have the discussions that Trump has had with other country leaders and powerful people, just as Obama did, which has been shown on our news, has been shown to he had also discussions with Russian leaders, and how the reset button was set with Hillary Clinton, with Putin, and all of this stuff. But yet we still see them trying to drag Trump into this thing and trying to defame him and his family and the whole thing. So I ask, even if you didn't vote for President Trump, does any of this really hold any truth to you? Or can you see through it to say, they are trying to drag this man down as our President of the United States because he is not a career politician? Is it not possible that what we're seeing happen is a very, very pointed and direct attack on our President of the United States? Do you not see a very, very real possibility that the right and the left do not want to see their power challenged and threatened, and they're going to do whatever they can to stop this man from making the changes that need to be made, that you and I want to see made? Can't you see that? I think it's pretty obvious that what's going on here is that they are trying to do whatever they can to take this man down. So I ask that you take a closer look at what's going on here. You and I as Americans need to make sure that what's happening here is really above board, across the board. And I want you to think about something. I'm an older guy, but I've been talking to some of the younger folks, some of the more young people that are coming up. They see through this. All the noises being made on the far left and stuff like that, they're not necessarily people who think that Trump is some kind of fascist or something like that. They're just tired of hearing the crap. They're tired of the political bullshit that's going on in Washington. They want the swamp to be drained. They want the system to be rebuilt. They want it torn down and rebuilt. And they think that the only way to do it is with other than the right, because the right is so conservative. The right is built on so much conservative tightness that they have to defend on the left to do it. But the left is no better. If you think that the Democratic power elite is going to rebuild the political system in your favor, think again. They are just as corrupt, they are just as deceitful, and they are just as big of liars as anybody on the right. Think about it. Think about what the Clintons have done in their lifetime. Think about the billions of dollars they have earned by being career politicians. You know, when I was a kid, going to high school and learning about government and learning about what it was to be a politician, it was not a glamorous job to be a politician. It was not something that you wanted to do to become wealthy and powerful. Being a politician was something that you did as a sacrifice to go and better your country. You were not guaranteed a life of a golden parachute after you got out of government. You were not going to go and make all this money. You were not going to be able to build these empires. You were not going to be able to do it because it was an honorable thing to do, to go and help your country for a short period of time and then go back to what it was you were doing before you went to government to help build a country. It's not like that anymore. They go into this thing, they buy elections. So I want to run this by you. I met a guy the other day. He's part of a nonprofit that is trying to look into political money. Look into political money. I want to run something by you. What would happen if, in order to qualify to be an elected official, to go to Washington and represent you in Washington, they could only come to Washington if they were from the middle class? What if one of the qualifications to be an elected official was that they could only be making a certain income? They could not be above a certain level of earnings in order to go to Washington and be a representative of yours. They could only go and be a politician. I don't even want to call them politicians. We're going to depoliticize Washington. What if they could only go to Washington if they could feel your pain? Do you really, really think that these people that are going to Washington are feeling your pain? Okay, I know Trump's a millionaire. I know that. But he's also not taking a salary by going to Washington. Okay? Donald Trump is a disruptor. But anyway, I want to get back to my point. What if politicians could only go to Washington if they were from the middle class? What if they could only get the benefits that we are getting in health care, that we are getting in retirement? What do you think about that? Think about that. Think about it. If we, the American people, stood up and said, hey, Congress, you are not going to be millionaires because at my dime, the cost of my dime. You are not going to go buy elections. You're not going to be able to buy elections by going and getting lobbyists to pump millions of dollars into your pockets so that you can go out here and buy advertising and buy newspapers and buy news, buy fake news. I'm asking you, Americans, let these politicians know that you are tired of this, that you've had enough, and I want you to share this video. I want you to let them know that we see what they're doing. If you agree that you believe that what the right and the left are trying to do is get Donald Trump impeached so that Mike Pence or somebody can become the president because they are career politicians, so that you can get back to the bullshit that you've been doing all this time, share this video. Get it out there. Let them know that you are in agreement with what I'm saying. We need to stop this. We can't let them drag this man down because he's not a politician. That's what I think is happening. I really do. Donald Trump is in there. He's disrupting them. And they're going to do it. They're going to call him a racist. They're going to call him a bigot. They're going to do whatever they can do to drag this man down. But if you do the research on this man, if you look back in his history, you look back and behind him, he's not a Republican. He's more Democrat than he is Republican. And if anything, he's a moderate. Look back, he's not a racist. Challenge people to prove his racism. Challenge people to prove his bigotry. Okay? Yeah, when he was goofing around with women, he was doing some things with women. A lot of guys have done that, okay? And it was not fun, it was not great, it was not a good thing to do. But hey, he did it, okay? So he apologized. Okay? That does not make him sexist. Okay, he respects women. They're judging him without merit. They have no proof to judge him. He's a bully? Yes. He's an egomaniac? Yes. What leader is not? I challenge you. What leader does not come with ego as big as a house? What leaders do not have some bully in them? And I want you to ask yourself, do we not need a bully in Washington right now to get those politicians to straighten up or get out? We need somebody in there to represent you and me, because they're not doing it. You know it and I know it. It's time to get tough on these politicians, y'all. We got to get tough on these politicians. They're not going to do it for you. They're not going to do anything for you. They're doing it for themselves. And if you don't believe it, listen to those interviews today with Comey, okay? And you will see they're not looking out for you. They're looking out for their best interests. They're trying to protect their wealth and their money and their power, and they will do whatever they've got to do, including drag down our president. When a president is elected, the Americanism, the way of the American way, is to get behind your president, even if you don't particularly support the party that person came from. You still get behind that president and you help to make the country great again. This whole thing with the medical care, the health care, and the taxes, they don't care what they put in front of them. It's Trump, they're not going to work with him. And they're doing it on the right and the left. Don't you see what's happening here? I'm going to get off here now, but share this, put it on Facebook, put it wherever you want, make your own video, get the word out there, challenge your legislator. Tell them you either stop playing this crap and get on with business. We're tired of hearing it because we know you're full of crap. What you're doing right now is not even right. It's not true, and you know it. Stop trying to drag down my president. Get on with governing the country and let Mr. Trump put into changes that need to happen to rebuild the way this government works. Thank you. Goodbye.